let's suppose and again from a layout perspective, fairly straightforward. Let's suppose I am instead involved in, let's have a look at my assignments tab, forecasting projects. So let me grab my project forecast. In here we've got a slightly different layout. What we have in this one is I've got my last year numbers above my current year numbers and then my variance at the bottom. My filters, I'm okay with that. Here's an example of a tree filter where we have hierarchies and we can roll up and down. I'm going to pull the Tour de France, my bicycle company, and hit the retrieve button, and this is going to go and pull back data again from the server that I was working on previously. Now, we mentioned in the introduction that there are some elements that we've added into TrueSky specifically to help budgeting and planning processes along the way. So let me show you a couple of those. First example I have here is a note. So I have a cell down here, and you can see because it's got a red triangle in the corner, this cell has a note on it. So I can actually take a look at the cell notes if I click on the cell notes, and you will see that I've actually entered some notes in here to explain how I've come up with the numbers in this cell. A couple of things worth pointing out. Everybody knows Excel has notes, but Excel notes will disappear when you add all the spreadsheets together. They won't roll up. They won't be visible to people further along the process. The other thing is Excel notes have no security around them. So we have the ability to add notes, to user date and timestamp them, to attach documents, if we've got backup documentation that we want to attach for a particular expense or for a particular calculation that we've done. And we also have notes as transactions. So every note that gets entered against this cell gets added incrementally into this list. The other thing that TrueSky notes do is that they roll up. So at any level of the budget, and we'll see this in reporting later, at any level of the budget I can see that there is a note associated with this number somewhere in the system. Okay, so that's note fields. A couple of other things we have some data tools over here to help us with entry. So if I just open up my data tools, I can close my filters for the time being. I'm okay with the page I'm working on. The data tools allow me to do things like spreading a number. So I can pick this cell, and this cell, and I'm going to spread $500 evenly across those cells. You'll notice that because we're in a spreadsheet environment, I can multi-select cells using just the regular control key like you would do in Excel. So my cells do not have to be in a continuous line or in a continuous range. I can arbitrarily select cells just using the control key and spread amounts based on my selection only. The other tools that I have a value change and increase decrease, and I have a percentage change increase decrease. So having put those numbers into those cells, I could say we're going to do a 10% increase, and you'll see each time I click it they just go up by 10%. The number of spreading methods that you have available to you is entirely up to you. You get to design them in TrueSky, so you can have as many different types of spreads as you need for seasonality, for trending. Again, just trying to get people out of that divide by 12 mentality and get them starting to think about how they're putting their numbers together in a more informative fashion. Okay, so let's save my project data back. I'm finished with that one, and let me go show you some other tools that we've put in here to help you with budgeting. Let me grab my overhead spreadsheet. Let's take my overheads template. So this is my overheads template, and I'm just going to pull back here some data that I was working on earlier. I've kept it nice and simple. There are only 3 months here. I do have all the regular Excel controls in place for expand and contract, so I can use those as well. But let's take a look at this template, and I want to show you a couple of other things that are going on here. The first thing we have, in addition to our notes, is the capability of line item detail. And line item detail at a simple level, let's open the line item detail on this one, allows you to add on-the-fly information that will help somebody understand how you built up your number. And you can add to these. When you close them up, they roll back up to the lines and the numbers will change accordingly. But what this is allowing you to do is, like with the note fields, it's passing on more information about how you arrived at the number, instead of just putting the number into a cell and somebody else having to guess at what you were thinking when you did that. So note fields and line item details, particularly good for that. The other thing we have going on this sheet here is we have a little control object over here. And if I actually hover over my control object, you'll see red 20% or greater, yellow 10% or greater, green less than 10%. And what I've done is I've built in a control into this particular template to stop people from submitting data they shouldn't submit. So I've decided as a rule in my budget that we'll accept a 10% increase over last year. Anything over that and under 20 we'll think about, but anything over 20 I'm not even going to allow you to submit because it's not going to get approved. So the way the control works is fairly simple. It's just testing the variance between this year and last year, and you'll see some of these are in different states. But what's going to happen is, because I've got red indicators on my spreadsheet, those red indicators mean that I am not actually going to be able to send my budget for approval. So if I was to go to approval, single or mass, which is based on the filter selections that I have, because I'm doing all of the departments in all the locations, I can either submit one that I'm working on, or I can go into my mass approval window and I can submit multiple departments at the same time because I'm working on more than one. However, I will not be able to submit for approval any budgets that have an indicator with a hard stop, which is my 20% or over. So we support the soft stop, which is the yellow, which says we're warning you, but you can still send it in. And then we've got the hard stop, which is the red, which says you can't even send it in.